Okay. Well, welcome. My name is Kristen Burnham, and I am the Programming and Events Coordinator for Prince William Public Libraries. So I oversee all system-wide programming and reading challenges. And it is my pleasure to introduce my co-presenter, and by co, I mean the subject matter expert, Barry Trott, who is the Adult Services Consultant at the Library of Virginia. And the Library of Virginia is providing the databases that we will be showing you today. Barry helps public libraries across the Commonwealth plan, develop services specifically for adult library users. So he is, like I said, the subject matter expert for how to utilize these databases for our topic tonight, which is homeschooling. He is a recipient of both the PLA Allie Beth Martin Award and the ALA Reference and User Services Association's Margaret E. Monroe Library Adult Services Award. Oh my gosh, Barry, these names, my goodness, in recognition for his work with adult library users. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the mic over to Barry and turn off my cameras. I will be monitoring the chat periodically. If you are able to, if you would like to unmute yourself to ask a question, this is a small group, Barry, if you're comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
If not, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll monitor the chat and go ahead and interject as needed, because this is, like I said, it's a small group, so we can really easily adapt it to whatever your needs are. So take it away, Barry.
All right. Thank you so much, Kristen. Yeah, so just a little bit of background. As Kristen said, I work with the Library of Virginia. If you're not familiar with the Library of Virginia, if you sort of think of the Library of Congress, and what it does in terms of collecting materials for researchers and historians and all that government records and things of that sort, Library of Virginia does that for the state. We just celebrated our 200th anniversary last year, so we are one of the oldest state agencies. And I work for a very small team in the Library of Virginia that our job really is simply to support the public libraries throughout the state. My area is called Library Development and Networking. And as Kristen said, I'm the Adult Services Consultant. We have a Youth Services Consultant and all sorts of other folks. There's 6 of us in that division. And one of the projects that I manage at the Library of Virginia is called Find It Virginia. And Find It Virginia is a collection of digital resources that are available to everyone in the state of Virginia through their public library. So we provide the public library with a variety of digital resources that they can then offer directly to their users. Now, some libraries, including Prince William County, supplement Find It Virginia with a large collection of additional databases, which is great. But there aren't many libraries in Virginia, smaller libraries, especially down in the Southwest and out in the Shenandoah Valley, but also down across the bottom of Virginia there in the South Side area. There's a lot of libraries who don't have the resources that Prince William or some of the other larger Northern Virginia libraries have, or Virginia Beach, for instance, City of Richmond Public Library. And so for them, the Find It Virginia collection really is their main point of access for digital content for both students and for lifelong learners. So in this series, we're going to be talking about the resources in the Find It Virginia collection that are available to students. For some of these, you're going to need to have a library card from Prince William County to get started, including the one we're going to talk about tonight. Some of them for remote access outside the library, you may or may not need a library card. Several of the databases do what's called geo-authentication. So it will look and see your IP address that you're coming from and say, oh, that's in the state of Virginia. Go right in. Don't need to put in your library card number. But I do want to encourage you to get a library card at Prince William County, because you will need that to access some of these resources. For a few of the resources, you'll use your library card to initially log in, and then sometimes to take advantage of other pieces of the content. And we'll look at this tonight for the database we're going to talk about, Homework HelpNow. You do need to actually create an account for in this case, for your student. And the reason for that being that the live help and the submitting of written materials for review by accredited authoritative instructors, you have to have some way for them to get back to you. So you do need to create an account that has an email address attached to it. So I'm going to talk tonight about a product that is called Homework Help Now. It comes from a company called Brainfuse. We do also offer 2 other Brainfuse products that are aimed more at adult users. One's called Job Now, helps people, as you might guess, with job seeking and career things, and one called Vet Now, which is aimed at military folks, especially those who are transitioning from the military into civilian life, can help them again with job preparation and things of that nature, as well as navigating military benefits. But tonight we're going to talk about Homework Help Now. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. As Kristen said, if you do have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. There's only 6 folks besides Kristen and I attending, so we're a small enough group. You're welcome to just ask your question out loud, or you can put your question in the chat, and Kristen will be monitoring that and keep me appraised of what's going on. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to start off by looking at the Prince William County website, because this is where you're going to get started. So to get started with Homework Help Now, you're going to go to the Prince William County Library website. You're going to scroll down here, and you can either wait till the digital library ad pops up. They've got a great little promo for their digital library here, and click the digital library button. But if that promo isn't there, just scroll on down a little bit further to where it says find a book or digital resource and click on digital library. This will take you to the collection of, as they say here in the first line, thousands of online and digital resources that include things like ebooks and newspapers and great databases and so forth. You can scroll down a little bit further and start to see the collection. And if you click on the Learn button here, you get a whole bunch of learning-focused resources. And scroll down, they're arranged alphabetically, it looks like, which is always nice. Scroll down to where you see Help Now and click on that. Notice right off the bat, we're going to be asked to enter a library card number, and it's got some basic information about what you can do and some information about the live tutoring. I don't have a Prince William card number, so I'm going to actually go use another version here that I've already started with. So I'm going to go back to the home page. So when you do log in with your library card, this is what you see. This is the home page for Homework Help Now. It's got a couple of different approaches, I guess, to helping students. The first one I want to mention is live tutoring. Tutors are available, as it says here, every day from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is live online help from expert tutors that have been vetted by the folks at Brainfuse. I think many of them are teachers. And so they're there to help with any subject area at any grade level from kindergarten on up, actually even into college, though I think we probably get the most use of it in the grade school, elementary, and secondary schools. So I'm going to click on live tutoring. And you can see here we are. We're just moments away, as it says, from connecting with a live instructor. And the way you do that is you select a grade. And as you see, there's kindergarten through 12th grade, college. Also, if you have students who are going to college and you're looking at the federal financial aid
Barry?
form process, yes.
Barry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what I'm seeing is just the menu page for
Interesting.
the Gale Presents Help Now. So if you're actually on the Brainfuse page,
You know what? I think I see what I have to do. How about this?
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me go back then, because I didn't really, I don't use WebEx. I have to confess, in my work, I use primarily Zoom. So, but let me go back here. So I'm going to go back
Thank you.
So let's go back. This is what happens when you click on the Prince William site and you click the Brainfuse link you get here. You'll put in your library card number and say log in. When you do log in, You should see this. Are you seeing now something that says Expert Help at Library of Virginia at the top?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so we're looking at the right tab here. So when you're looking at this this homepage for Homework Help Now, you're going to click on this Live Tutoring button, and are we now seeing a page that says Live Help?
Yes. Yeah,
Excellent.
we're good.
Okay, good. So when you're here, you can look in this drop-down menu where it says Select Grade, and you can see we start with kindergarten, go all the way through college, and then as I was saying, if you do have a college-bound student and you're working on the FAFSA form, which is completely complex, and I just gave up eventually. But you know, if you want to get that filled out, they can provide tutoring assistance with filling out the FAFSA form even. So I'm just going to pick a grade level. We're going to look at fourth grade. When you click fourth grade, then you get an option of choosing the subjects. So you can choose English, math, science, social studies, or writing. And so, you know, if I said science, then I would click Live Help Now, and I'd be connected with somebody who can tutor me in fourth grade science. Notice here also that the tutoring is available in Spanish. So you can connect with a Spanish-speaking tutor to get assistance in Spanish as well as in English. If we go up a grade or two, let's go to ninth grade. Notice we get a lot more subjects here. Math is now broken down into geometry, algebra, and pre-algebra. If we go to 12th grade, algebra, algebra 2, calculus and pre-calculus. Science now is broken into chemistry, biology, and physics. Social studies is broken into global and U.S. history, and so on. So you can get live help anytime between 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern time. And this is live help from tutors who, as I said, who've been vetted by the folks at Brainfuse and are there to help your student with whatever they need help with. Now, if they need help with writing pieces, notice here you do actually need to have an account to access this, because the writing assistance will involve emailing back and forth, submitting samples of writing, and then getting responses. So for that, you would actually sign up for a username and password. So you click the sign up form. It'll take you to, it's not going to do it because, well, there we go. You're going to create, you know, username and password, re-enter your password, do a password hint, that kind of thing, sort of all the usual stuff. And then you'll use that to log in. Same thing if you wanted to use the language lab. You don't have to sign in for this, but you can get help with foreign language studies in French and Spanish. Those are the only two languages they offer right now. So you can get live help. And there's also a vocabulary builder for those languages. Again, for that one, you do need to sign in to have an account and sign in. So I'm going to go back to the home page here. You can also send questions in and receive an expert reply. So if you don't want to do the live tutoring, but you want to submit a question and say, you know, I'm having trouble understanding fractions. Could you explain this piece to me? You can send that question in and you'll get a response within 24 hours. Again, to do that, you'll notice you have to sign in with your username and password, because that's how they're going to email you, is through the email account associated with your account there. I want to talk about some of these. I'm going to come back to the skill surfer in just a little bit, because that's a very long, complex, or not complex, but rich, I think, collection of resources. But I do want to leap over here to the study section. Flashbulb is sort of an interesting area, because here you can use a library of flashcards, or you can create your own flashcards. So if you have a student who's working on history, if you click on the history flashcard sets, you can choose American government. There's a 25 card flashcard set on the Constitution, or 27 on the amendments, or 28 cards on the courts, and so on. Vocabulary words involving American government. So if you click on one of those, you can do right on the website. You can look at the card. You can guess what the answer is, and you can show the answer here. And you can shuffle the cards. You can pause things, restart. So this is a great tool for trying to answer vocabulary questions, anything really that you can put on flashcards. But you can also do them as all sorts of games. So you can do no flip flashcards. So you pull up the question, what's eminent domain? And then you can see the answer and you can go to the next card. Who's the attorney general? And so forth. So you can go through and do that. You can set it up as a study table where you get the answer and you're supposed to say, what's the question? Sort of Jeopardy-ish like there. We scroll down, you can set them up as crosswords. You can do quizzes and tests. You can print them out if you are old school and want to put your flashcards on actual cards. So there's lots of ways you can actually take advantage of this flashbulb section, which is sort of cool. So I'm going to go back to the home page. E-Parachute is sort of interesting. Again, you do have to sign in for that. It's really aimed at folks who are looking at colleges and trying to figure out, well, what might I want to study in college, or what might I want to do as a career. So it's really sort of like that. What color is my parachute? If you remember that book, that helps folks sort of analyze what their interests are, and then suggest perhaps college majors or careers that match those skills and interests. This collaborate section is available. I will say it doesn't get used a whole lot, but you can set up schedule study sessions in a private virtual study room inside Brainfuse. So that might be of interest if you're trying to set up a study group. You can do it in Brainfuse. Again, not something that gets a lot of use. I will say, are there any questions so far? I'm going to move on to look at Skill Surfer in just a second, but are there any questions anybody has so far? I'm going to stop sharing for just a second here. Go back to the WebEx.
Nothing in the chat so far.
Nothing so far in the chat. Okay. All right.
Oh, Barry, I did have a question in regards to the flashcards.
Yeah.
Just to confirm, you can narrow that down by grade level, correct?
Let's take a look. I'm going to go back and share screen again. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at the main page.
I had to hand make all of my flashcards, and the idea of being able to select from a drop-down menu.
Let's look to see if it's, well, it's not so much arranged. Well, there are some additional ones here, grade 1, 8th grade math, but mostly it's arranged, say in the math section anyway, by the type of math. So if we go into algebra, yeah.
Okay, so it's best to use them if you know what subject type.
Yeah, let's look at, instead of looking at math, because obviously that's more focused on the type of thing, let's look at US geography. Yeah, it's probably more, the flashcards look more subject based, though apparently these I think are flashcard sets that people have created, because you notice the date it was added. So these are ones that actually have been added by users and saved. So you can create your own flashcards and save them there. So you could use somebody else's flashcards from there. And some of those look like they do focus on, 6th grade Asia. Some of these are very specific, I think, looking at a specific textbook, Unit 8, Unit 7, and so forth. So yeah, I think I would say the flashcards are going to be best used by a topic area rather than by a grade area, maybe, if that makes sense. Great question. Any other questions before we move on to Skill Surfer here? All right.
Chat's all clear.
All right. So I'm going to click on Skill Surfer now because this is one of my favorite sections of HelpNow. Skill Surfer has a variety of lessons, videos, practice tests, and other learning tools. And these are arranged, as you can see, initially by grade level, lower elementary, upper elementary, middle school. I will say these are also the tools in Brainfuse. When I look at the usage statistics, these are the ones that get the most use. So we've got lower and upper elementary, middle school, and high school. And we'll go into these in just a minute. But also college for high schoolers who are planning on going to college, high school age students, a lot of college entrance test prep for folks who might be thinking of the military as a career, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. I think that's what ASVAB stands for. I could be wrong about that. But it's basically the pre-test for going into the military. Then there's Skill Surfer things on computers and technology, English language learning. This one I think is really neat, the research and presentation skills. Something a lot of students don't necessarily get is a lot of practice and learning about how to talk to people, to present your thoughts, to present your research. And so there's some interesting things in there. There's a whole bunch of adult learner resources that we can glance in, a Parents Corner collection, both in English and Spanish, and some life skills things. But let's go into, for instance, a lower elementary school Skill Surfer. We'll click over here where it says View the Lessons. And here's where you're getting, Kristen, things broken down by the grade level. So we've got grade level math, K through 2, English language arts, and science. So say, let's look at grade 1 math. And you can see right off the bat, we've got a lot of stuff here. So we've got things on counting from the basics, 0 through 5, 6 through 9, 10 through 15, and so on, putting numbers in order. So let's click on one of those. Let's do compare sets. So it says here, compare sets of objects. So the same number of hats as bows, more hats than bows, fewer hats than bows. And so here it says choose the set that has more. So there are more hats in this case, right? Because if you connect up the hats and the boxes. And here you got flowers and vases. So you can see what it's doing is it's giving you lessons that you can print these out. You can do them on the screen in a sense. And you can progress through those lessons. So here's the lesson on the numbers 0 through 5. So the dots in this case show the number. So it says get some small objects and use them to show how many. 4 objects, or 3 or 5, and so on. So you can see where this is going for a very beginning learner, right? If we move into the upper elementary school, let's look at maybe look at grade 4 science. And you can see here, we've got a bunch of different focused lessons on different science objects, from life science, physical science, and earth science. So for instance, if you wanted to look at measuring electricity, the first one, notice on the left here, these lessons follow in sort of a thematic order. So if you choose the first one, you're going to see the progress through all the lessons. So this tells you what volts are, measuring how electrons in a wire are pushed. It tells you about common household batteries and different kinds of batteries. And it has some questions. Looks at electric meters. A little bit of math here to figure out how to compare the readings.
Barry, we did have a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
Marcia, I think that your question will be more directed to me. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to Alejandra's question. She wanted to know, are these following an actual curriculum, or Virginia state testing requirements?
They are not. These are simply, these are Brainfuse. Brainfuse is a national company, so these are just lessons on topics that are common to all curricula. So they're not following a specific curriculum or the, tied to the Virginia SOLs, as far as I know. Great question.
And Marcia, like I said, I will address your question at the end of the presentation when I close things out, kind of touching base on specific Prince William Public Library resources.
So I think maybe one way to think about it is these are resources to reinforce or complement the homeschool learning, and education that you all are already doing. So I think that the intent here is to provide not the actual curriculum or learning plan, but if there's an area where you're finding your student is struggling, perhaps these resources can be valuable to go in and say, okay, I have my third grader math is really having a little problem understanding place value. And we've worked through it, but I think they could use a little more practice. So you're going to go here and look at hundreds, tens, and ones places, different ways to think about this. So it's really not intended to be a curriculum that you follow. It's intended really more to be a supplement to whatever curriculum you're using. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's supposed to enhance a curriculum that you already have in place. So any supplemental activities that you would like to search for.
Yeah, great. I'm just going to quickly look at some of the other ones. If we go to middle school, you notice things get, there's more to learn and things are broken down a little bit more. So if we go to grade 8 science, again, we've got physical science prep pack, if they're learning the periodic table of elements, there's quizzes, there's flashcards built into some of these things. There's life science lessons, prep packs, which have, again, more sort of specific area learning, earth and space science, and scientific method, and so forth. So that's, the higher grade level you go, I guess the more complex the opportunities are for learning. So when you get to high school, and again, we can go through mathematics, we can go through science, social studies, but you also get into starting things like AP exam prep if you have students who are going to try and take the advanced placement tests, and so on. So, but you have critical reading, you have writing, grammar, and style. So if we wanted to look at grammar and style, and you break that down even further into parts of speech, usage, punctuation, style, and spelling rules. So there's a lot of great stuff in here. Again, with the intent being that it's going to supplement the lessons that you're already teaching and not provide you with a stepwise curriculum. I will say the college entrance test prep pack is valuable. If you do have students who are going to be taking the PSATs or the SATs or the advanced placement tests, there's also nursing entrance exams and things of that nature in here. So you do have a lot of test prep opportunities. As I said, the ASVAB preparation package. So this is for folks who would be considering going into the military. There's an ASVAB test, and if you click the test prep pack, you get a whole bunch of information here about that. In computers and technology, there are some great learning opportunities for the Microsoft Office package, including Outlook, the email tool, but Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and you go, from intermediate to advanced. So if you're a beginning Excel user, this is the basics of why do you use a spreadsheet? How do you format it? How do you enter data, and so forth? And then if you go a little further into that Excel, when you get to advanced, you're talking about things like formulas and functions, creating charts and pivot tables. I'm a big fan of Excel, so I'm always excited when there's opportunities to learn new things about Excel. English as a second language does have some basic elementary, middle, high school learning opportunities for ELL. Research and presentation skills, as I said, this is really valuable. How do you do online research? Certainly a critical tool today when there's so much misinformation and disinformation floating around. We want all of our kids to be good researchers and to be able to ascertain what's accurate and authoritative. So a great introduction to the research process here. That can be really valuable. Parents Corner just has some articles, including a whole set of things on homeschooling and remote learning, homeschooling strategies, remote learning, different things about that. But if we go into homeschooling strategies, Brainfuse actually has a document here that you might want to read through. It gives you some ideas about different ways to approach some of the different topic areas. And finally, life skills. Again, this can be really valuable if you have students or kids or adults. Some of these things, or if you don't learn them as a kid, you need to learn them as an adult. Things like time management. How do you make the most of studying? So study skills here. How to take notes. How to take notes when you're listening to somebody. How to take notes when you read. How to space the work out and so forth. So life skills. Financial literacy, some good stuff about basic finances. Again, media literacy, like information literacy and news literacy, can be very valuable. Creative thinking, practical skills, a few, home skills here, some home ec and home cleaning processes. So they really try to cover, as many different areas of life skills that you might find valuable. And then this last one is always sort of interesting to me. It's academic skills in real life. So, a lot of times students, especially in math or some other things, will say, why do I need to know that? When am I going to ever use that? And some of these things can be really valuable in explaining why some of these things that we're learning are important. So the Skills Surfer section is one I would really recommend you take some time and play around in to see what it has perhaps that might help support the work that you're doing as a homeschooler in terms of educating your students. So I hope that our hope here at the Library of Virginia certainly is that these resources make the lives of parents a little bit easier by providing them with assistance when their students need help. And so, that's what these are here for. We're delighted that Prince William County Library is promoting them through their website, and delighted also that the 94 other library systems around the state are doing the same. But if you do have questions about the product itself, going to the folks at Prince William is a great place to start. If they can't figure it out, someone will get in touch with me and we'll see what might be going on, especially if you're having access issues. But always start with your local library because this is a resource that they're providing for you via the Library of Virginia. So we're happy to help. And if you have any questions, that's sort of the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to the meeting. But that's a quick overview of the Brainfuse product, Homework Help Now, that I hope will be useful to you in your homeschooling journey. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. And again, you can unmute yourself or put things in the chat, either one.
I think everyone's at the mercy of their phones.
Okay.
Someone said, I can't unmute myself, but I have a question.
Yep.
So I'm just going to monitor it.
Wow, that's a great question, Alejandra. There's lots of great resources on the Prince William County website. Let me share my screen one more time and go back to the Prince William website here. I'm back in their digital library section. I'm going to look at all. You know, when we scroll down here, we're going to have other programs in this series that'll talk about some specific things that are part of the Find in Virginia collection, like access video on demand just for kids. But, you know, this is a wealth of resources. These A to Z products, I think, are just amazingly good. They're basically like you know, going to the encyclopedia would have been when I was, say, in school many years ago. But you know, these are digital or online reference books, basically. So the A to Z ones are amazing. Biography and context, another great resource for finding biographical information for students. A lot of newspaper databases I'm seeing. Let's see. I'm looking for ones that are aimed more at kids. Gale Books and Authors, a great resource for exploring different topics around literature. So definitely one to keep in mind there. Gale and Context Elementary, we'll talk about later in the series. So I'm not going to hit on that right now. A lot of great Gale databases. Issues and Controversies. This is an interesting database that does the both sides of hot topics in politics, government, business, and society. So that can be sort of, again, sometimes you need to have that argue both sides of the question kind of approach, and that can be a good resource for that. I'm just looking to see what else. Literature Criticism Online is another great resource for what it says, literary criticism. Several journal and magazine article databases. We'll talk about novelists later on. Opposing Viewpoints is, again, something that is helping students understand the both sides of arguments, in particular current events. Transparent Language Online. I don't know, Kristen, are we going to talk about that one in this series? I don't remember.
I think so, yes.
Okay, so we'll leave that.
That's our winter series.
Okay, we'll leave that. So yeah, there's lots of great resources here, you know, that I'm looking at, and World Almanac, you know, great resources for homework, as it says, and reports and so forth. So I'm going to, again, stop sharing, but I would encourage you to take advantage of those great resources that Prince William has. And I will say Prince William, you know, is very fortunate that they're a well-funded library and can afford a lot of great resources. So, you know, that's a testament to the value that the county places on the library and the resources that it brings to the community, that they fund the library in a way that allows them to have a really substantive, robust collection of digital resources. And again, these can all be accessed at the library if you're there, but they can also be accessed from home with your library card or wherever you happen to be. So, you know, this is the neat thing about it is, you know, it doesn't matter if the library is closed and all of a sudden, you know, somebody needs to do some work on a project. You have 24-hour a day, basically, access to your public library collections, substantial library collections, especially for students. So I commend Prince William for that.
Since I'm the face of Prince William, I have nothing to do with selecting these databases, but I'll say thank you and you're welcome. I will say something fun that we are doing with one of the A to Z databases is this January, we're launching a Spice Club. So at select branches, you'll be able to pick up a kit with a featured spice each month, and it will have a couple of recipes from A to Z World Recipes. It'll have a history of the spice and some information on how you can join a culinary adventure with us.
How cool is that?
Share your results on social media.
How cool is that? Marcia asked if the sessions are being recorded, and yes, Marcia, these are being recorded.
Yes. So that is a perfect segue into my portion of it. So Marcia, you had asked about, you know, wanting to kind of know all the things. Where are all of the things? So the first place to start is our catalog. So if you go to our catalog, and Barry had shown the website, and you do a search for, any subject, say that you, what was the one that you had looked at? Geometry. Our catalog will ping everything that's specific in our collection that is on that title. And then you can narrow it down by age group, by material type, whatever your parameters are, you'll be able to do that. We also have an app. So the Prince William PWPL app. So you can actually, I use this feature all the time now when I go to the bookstores because I'm cheap. So if you download the app, you can get your library card loaded onto the app so you don't have to worry about carrying the card or being a nerd like me and remembering your number. It has a barcode scanner. So you have the option if you're like me and you're out and you say, oh, that's a really great book. I wonder if the library has it. You can actually scan the barcode and it'll do an automatic catalog search to see if we have it. If we don't, then you could do a suggested title. I was so thrown when they said SAT because I heard the catalogers talk about it. I was like, what? Are we doing testing now? What? But it's suggest a title. So that would be the first step for you to go when you want to get, as you say, kind of a curated list of resources. If you're not seeing what you find or you're getting too much, there's just so much out there. You're like, oh, okay, this is a little bit too much. Contact your local library. You can call and say, look, this is the kind of material that I'm looking for. Can you help me out? Staff love to get a bit of a heads up. So when they're off, if it's quiet on the desk or if they have some time off the desk, they can actually curate a list for you. We are more than happy to do that and get that list to you. I'm also going to be sending out following this, so probably tomorrow, because we'll be honest, as soon as we stop, I'm getting my PJs. But as soon as I get logged in tomorrow, I'm going to email y'all a survey, and this is our education survey. And it has a list of questions just to try to help us make sure that if there's something possible for us to do to be providing you with support, that we are actually doing it. So some of the results that I've gotten are, we would love to have textbooks added to the collection. Like, that's fair. I totally understand it. To be transparent, the library system does not buy any textbooks at all. Just no textbooks. The closest that we come to is test prep books. Just because, one, they're expensive as all get out. That normally would not be a problem. But two, there's also a high rate of they leave the building, but they don't actually come back into the building. And it's very difficult to, there's a variety of reasons. However, especially with homeschooling, there are a lot of books that are used as textbooks that aren't technically classified as textbooks. They are supplemental books. So we got a great list of suggestions from people, and I forwarded that on to the head of material services. I asked for suggestions on programming. Is there any programming that you would like? Is there anything that PWPL can be doing that we're not doing that is reasonable for us to be able to do? Some of the suggestions were not reasonable, but that's okay. I did put a call out for all ideas. So I will be sending that survey out to you. It would be wonderful if you filled it out. No pressure if you don't want to, but I do want to give you the opportunity to share your ideas. I'm going to scroll down here, make sure that nothing else came in. Oh, okay, yeah. Other libraries, is there a comprehensive list of all the libraries you can get cards for nearby? Yes, there is. I think it's on our website. Let me actually do a quick look, and if I find it, I will share my screen and do a walkthrough. I know that the staff have like a printout that they keep on their on the info desks. But let's see, it's basically anyone in Northern Virginia and anyone on the Maryland border, like really close to DC. Let's see, can I? You're hearing me type, but a library card, maybe it'd be. Okay, so yes, all right, there is. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Found you. Okay. Barry, can you see that? Can you see my screen, Barry? Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted.
No,
Yes.
you're fine. The pop-up, if you did a thumbs up, the pop-up blocked you. All right, so this is our website, right? If you scroll down to get a library card, it is going to, you scroll down to the bottom of the page. We have reciprocal borrowing agreements with the following public libraries. And then it has a breakdown: Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C., which is really easy because it's just D.C. public libraries. It does give you the requirements in order to get a library card. And I do want to clarify that if you live or work in a reciprocal borrowing area, you are eligible for a library card. So you're welcome. Okay, any other questions for either Barry or myself? Okay, great. Well, I am going to wrap things up. Thank you all so much. Like I said, I will be sending out a follow-up email survey. I will also be sending out a link to our next session. Like Barry said, each session we will be focusing on a specific database, because we just thought it would be too much if we were doing, like, we're throwing all of these databases at you. So some databases might be helpful, others might not necessarily be helpful. So, you know, totally fine. This is just about making the information as easy to access for you as possible. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Special thank you to Barry for his time and his continued time, because he's going to be back next month. And I'm going to stop the recording, and we will see y'all next month, hopefully. Take care.